There is a lie that has been whispered into the ears of the kind-hearted, the deep-feeling, and the emotionally open for generations. If you feel it, it must be who you are. But darling, that is not truth. That is entrapment. Liars, manipulators, the wolves in love's costume. They know this weakness. They know how to pull strings you didn't even know were showing. But the moment you realize you are not your emotions, you start seeing clearly. And when you see clearly, the liar's tricks don't shine so bright anymore. There is something sacred about feeling. It's a gift to be able to weep when something breaks your heart, to smile when life surprises you, and to ache when something no longer fits. Emotions rise up from within like tides pulled by a moon you cannot see, and they let you know that you are alive, that your spirit is still moving, still present, still open. But let us not confuse a wave for the ocean. Let us not call the passing of a storm our new sky. Emotions are waves, yes, deep, strong, crashing, but they are not who you are. You are not your sadness. You may feel grief move through you like a wind that shakes the walls of your soul, but that does not make you broken. You are not your rage. You may burn with a fire that could melt steel, but that does not mean your nature is destruction. You are not your fear. You may tremble. You may pause. You may hesitate before you leap, but that does not make you weak. You are the witness. You are the watcher on the shore. You see the waves come in. You feel their force. You get wet. You may even get swept off your feet, but then the tide rolls back and you are still here. The wave did not carry you away. It did not take your name or rewrite your soul. It simply passed through. People will try to name you by your emotions. They will say you are bitter, cold, angry, dramatic, fragile. They will confuse your honesty with instability. They will mistake your passion for aggression and your stillness for silence. But you do not have to carry their labels. You do not have to wear the cloak of every feeling that visits you. Let it visit. Let it speak. Let it move through. But do not build a home around what is meant to pass. This is what liars and manipulators know. This is what those who seek to control you will use against you. They will wait for the wave to hit, then step in and pretend they are the lifeboat. They will point to your tears and say, "See, you're the problem." They will notice your anger and say, "That's why no one stays." But child, it is not the wave that is the problem. It is those who seek to drown you in it. Strength is not pretending you don't feel. Strength is feeling and still standing. Strength is recognizing that you are more than your worst moment, your hardest day, your heaviest hour. Emotions do not define character, actions do, and the ability to observe your emotions without becoming them is one of the highest forms of maturity. So next time grief walks in, say hello, but do not let it unpack its bags. When anger rises, let it speak, but do not let it rule. When joy arrives, dance with it, but know that even she cannot stay forever. Your job is not to suppress the waves or deny them. Your job is to breathe through them, ride them if you must, rest in them if you can, but always, always remember, you are not them. You are the sky holding the weather. You are the earth beneath the sea. You are the soul that feels, not the feeling itself. There is a tenderness in you that was meant to be sacred. It was not built for battle. It was not born to be tested or used or twisted. Your emotional vulnerability, your ability to feel deeply, to open your heart wide, to trust without armor, is a rare and beautiful thing. But in the hands of a liar, that beauty becomes bait. Liars do not love like the rest of us. They study. They listen not to understand you, but to map you. They mark the places where you flinch. They notice what makes your voice shake. They remember the stories that made your eyes well with tears. Then they wait. They wait until they need control, and when they do, they reach for your softness and press against it like a bruise. They don't come with fists, they come with questions. They don't raise their voice, they whisper with precision. A liar won't say you are weak, they'll say you're too sensitive just after they say something cruel. They won't ask you to silence your heart. Instead, they'll create an environment where expressing emotion feels like a crime. Liars prey on people who care. They seek out the ones who give chances, who offer benefit of the doubt, who believe in redemption and healing. These are beautiful traits in the right hands, but dangerous in the wrong ones. When you respond to hurt with compassion, a liar does not feel grateful. They feel emboldened. They know now that your empathy can be turned into a leash. They will use your love against you. They will take the parts of you that long to understand and stretch them until you are excusing the inexcusable. They will tell you that your reaction is the problem, not their behavior. They will twist your pain into proof that you are unstable. And the worst part is, they will do it while looking into your eyes and calling it love. Emotional vulnerability is not weakness. It is strength, pure and undiluted. To be open in a world that teaches you to close off is an act of courage, but even courage requires wisdom. Even softness deserves a sword. You must know when to feel and when to watch. You must recognize the difference between someone who sees your heart and someone who scans it for openings. Liars don't just lie with their words, they lie with their presence. They pretend to care so they can stay close enough to pull the strings when it serves them. They mirror your values, speak your language, echo your wounds. Then, at the moment you least expect, they use it all to manipulate your decisions, distort your reality, and make you question your own instincts. They will say, "I thought you trusted me," after betraying you. They will say, "You're overreacting," when they cross the line. They will say, "You're being dramatic," as a way to avoid accountability. These are not just phrases, these are weapons. They are sharpened by repetition and polished by your silence. You do not need to stop being vulnerable, but you must stop being accessible to everyone. You are allowed to guard your soul. You are allowed to ask questions. You are allowed to take your time. Let your vulnerability be like a garden, open to the sun, but fenced from the wolves. Because when a liar meets someone who knows how to feel and still protect themselves, the game ends before it begins. And that, my dear, is how you turn your vulnerability into wisdom without ever losing your softness. A liar does not always come with horns. Sometimes they come in warmth, in softness, in charm. They do not always scream their intentions. Sometimes they simply ask a question, but not every question is innocent. Some are designed like traps. Some are crafted like cages. Words, when wielded by a liar, are not tools for truth. They are tools of confusion. A liar studies you. They learn the rhythm of your speech, the cracks in your confidence, the places you doubt yourself. Then they ask questions that press into those cracks like fingers into a bruise. These are not questions for clarity. These are questions for control. This question is not curiosity. It is accusation. It is a subtle way to tell you that your feelings are wrong, that your response is an overreaction. When a liar asks this, they want you to shrink. They want you to second guess your intuition. But emotion is not weakness. Feeling deeply is not a flaw, it is a signal. A liar asks this question to make you distrust your own signals. They want you to stay quiet, even when your spirit is shouting. On the surface, this sounds like a plea for connection, but when asked by a liar, it's a setup. They are not asking to be trusted. They are asking you to abandon your boundaries. They want you to feel guilty for asking questions. They want to paint your instincts as betrayal. Trust in their world is not mutual. It's a tool for disarming your defenses. A liar uses this question to shift the spotlight off their actions and onto your hesitation. This question is designed to silence. It's a tactic to dismiss the past, especially when it holds evidence of their wrongdoing. The liar wants to erase the memory, not mend the damage. They want you to think that revisiting hurt is petty. But healing does not come from silence. It comes from honesty. And if the pain is still present, the conversation is still valid. A liar asks this to shut the door on your truth before it can be fully heard. This is guilt packaged as gratitude. It's a transaction disguised as generosity. When a liar says this, they are not reminding you of kindness. They are tallying your debt. They want you to feel ungrateful. They want you to believe that their past gestures excuse present harm. But love does not keep receipts. Kindness does not demand silence. A liar weaponizes their history with you, hoping it will blind you to their current behavior. This question comes when you are close to truth. It comes when clarity is rising in you, when the discomfort of honesty is becoming unavoidable. The liar does not want resolution. They want escape. They want to rush the moment before accountability can take root. But you are not a rug, and your pain is not something to be swept beneath you. Healing is not about speed. It's about depth. A liar uses this question to speed past justice. Each of these questions seems small. Each one comes wrapped in false tenderness. But behind each is a motive: to unseat your intuition, to rewrite your reality, to reshape your truth. A liar does not always need to lie. Sometimes all they need is a question asked in the right tone at the right time with just enough shame to make you fold. But you, my dear, were not born to fold. You were born to see. And once you see the pattern, the questions lose their power. That is when you begin to rise. There is a moment between feeling and reacting that most never learn to see. That moment is small, like the breath before a storm or the hush before a song, but it is powerful. In that quiet space lives your choice. The choice to feel fully without being consumed. The choice to rise without rushing. The choice to observe your emotions without becoming them. Emotions are not the enemy. They are the messengers. They come bearing news from the depths of your soul. They speak in tears, in laughter, in anger, in silence. But emotions are not commanders. They do not lead, they report. It is you who decides what to do with their arrival. Learning to observe emotions does not mean silencing them. It does not mean pushing them down or pretending they do not exist. That is suppression, not awareness. Observing means witnessing. It means allowing the feeling to pass through your body like a breeze through an open window, noticed, felt, and then released. It means naming what you feel without letting it name you. Anger will visit. It has its place. But when you observe it, you will see whether it is honest anger or leftover pain. Sadness will sit with you. But when you observe it, you'll know whether it's asking to be healed or simply held. Joy will bloom in you, but when you observe it, you won't clutch it out of fear. You will let it be free. The power lies in the pause, that sacred moment where you say, "This is what I'm feeling, but this is not all I am." The world may tell you to react fast, to speak when you're hurt, to shout when you're mad, to shut down when you're afraid. But the world is often loud and lost. Wisdom is quiet, observation is steady, Peace is patient. When you observe emotions, you learn to make decisions from stillness, not storm. You stop spilling your feelings into places that cannot hold them. You stop giving your power away to anyone who can make you feel something. And more importantly, you begin to understand your inner world, not just as chaos, but as a system of signals pointing you toward something deeper. People who cannot observe their emotions become their emotions. They live as anger. They breathe as fear. They speak as sadness. They move as desperation. Their lives are reaction after reaction, never reflection. But you were not made to live as a fuse. You were made to live as a flame, steady, aware, warm, and lit from within. Observation is not detachment. It is wisdom in motion. It is presence. It is awareness saying, I see you, to the pain without letting pain take the wheel. It is the ability to sit with your joy without fearing its loss. It is the discipline to say, I feel this fully, but I will not let it shape my character. Learning to observe emotions is learning to love yourself enough to pause. It is telling your spirit, you do not have to perform for every feeling. It is a way of honoring both the heart and the mind, both the soul and the self. And when you learn to do this, you do not become cold. You become clear. You become the calm in your own storm. You become a safe place for your truth. You become someone who can feel everything and still choose peace. That, my dear, is the kind of strength that cannot be faked, bought, or borrowed. It must be built, breath by breath, moment by moment. And once you have it, no one can take it from you. There are those who will see your tears and think less of you. They will hear your voice tremble and decide you are not strong. They will watch you break open and call it failure. But those people do not understand the truth. They do not know that to feel deeply is not to fall apart. It is to live with your soul turned outward, wide and alive. Feeling deeply is not weakness. It is the mark of a spirit brave enough to remain human in a world that rewards hardness. It takes strength to feel, real strength, the kind that cannot be taught in books or measured in muscles. The kind that comes from staying tender when it would be easier to shut down. When you feel deeply, you carry the weight of the world in your chest, but you keep walking. You feel the ache of what others ignore, and still you love again. You open your heart not once, but again and again, even when life gives you reasons to close it. That is not weakness. That is sacred endurance. There are people who live on the surface of life. They never dive. They never risk drowning in their own truth. They laugh, but not from the belly. They love, but only with conditions. They talk, but never reveal. They protect themselves from sorrow, but they miss joy too. Feeling deeply is the full spectrum. It is not just sorrow and pain. It is awe. It is wonder. It is that quiet reverence when something beautiful moves through you. If you numb one side, you numb it all. Do not let anyone shame you for your softness. Do not let them label your empathy as weakness or your vulnerability as fragility. Let them say what they will. Let them call your heart too open. Your feelings are not a flaw. They are your fire. They are the way your soul speaks when the world is too loud. And it is not your job to shrink yourself for people who cannot meet you there. Some will try to use your depth against you. They will call you emotional to silence you. They will say you're too much when really they feel too little. But their judgment is not your truth. It is their limitation. People who fear their own feelings will always be suspicious of yours. Do not confuse their discomfort with your weakness. To feel deeply is to stay awake. It is to face the joy and the pain with your eyes open. It is to refuse to go numb. It is to grieve when something is lost. It is to celebrate when something is found. It is to let the world in, not because it's easy, but because it's honest. and that honesty builds a life of substance. People who feel deeply are not broken. They are whole in ways others cannot see. They are the poets, the healers, the ones who weep when someone else is in pain and smile from the soul when a stranger finds peace. They are the people who make the world more bearable just by being in it. So if you are someone who feels it all, the ache, the joy, the rage, the hope, then know this: you are not weak. You are fully alive. You are doing the sacred work of being human. That is not something to be fixed. That is something to be honored. Written in the graceful, resolute, and soul-rooted tone of Maya Angelou, clear as wisdom, deep as time, and grounded in spiritual dignity. Awareness protects you. There is something more powerful than strength, more vital than speed, more life-saving than charm. That something is awareness. It does not shout, it does not shine, it does not need applause, but it is always there, quiet, steady, watching. Awareness protects you in ways no weapon can. It does not stop harm from coming, but it teaches you to see it from a distance. It does not erase pain, but it helps you recognize the source before the wound deepens. Awareness is the inner eye that opens when the world tries to blind you. It is the still, small voice that says, "This doesn't feel right," even when everyone else is clapping. It is the pause before the yes. It is the breath before the reaction. It is what keeps your soul from being led into places your spirit was never meant to go. Without awareness, you are prey to the patterns. You repeat what you do not notice. You trust what you do not question. You give to what you do not understand. But when you are aware, you begin to see. You see the cycles. You see the faces behind the masks. You see the difference between someone who loves you and someone who loves your need for them. People often confuse awareness with suspicion. They think being watchful means being wounded, but awareness is not paranoia. It is protection. It does not make you fearful. It makes you conscious. It makes you responsible for what you entertain and what you allow. It turns your pain into perception. It turns your lessons into discernment. A liar cannot manipulate someone who is aware. They may try. They may speak with sweetness. They may dress their intentions in flattery, but awareness sees beyond the words. It sees the energy. It sees the pattern. It hears what is not being said. It remembers the details that do not align, and in that clarity, there is safety. Awareness is what stops you from falling for the same apology dressed in different clothes. It is what helps you notice when someone's affection is conditional. It's what reminds you that silence can be violence and smiles can be strategy. Awareness keeps you from ignoring the whisper of your spirit just because someone speaks louder than your inner voice. It is not enough to feel deeply. You must see deeply too. Feel with your heart, but look with your spirit. Love without blindfolds. Forgive, but do not forget the lessons. Awareness does not mean you close your heart. It means you open your eyes. It means you know where to place your love so it grows instead of bleeds. You cannot control everything. People will still try to deceive. Life will still bring its storms, but awareness is your shelter. It cannot stop the rain, but it will hand you a coat. It cannot stop the betrayal, but it will keep you from handing over the knife. It cannot erase the past, but it will keep you from repeating it. To be aware is to walk through the world fully present. It is to honor your intuition. It is to stand in your own knowing and say, I see what this is, and I choose differently. It is a discipline. It is a gift. It is a freedom earned by paying attention. Let others move fast. Let others chase the noise. You stay steady, you stay aware, because the one who sees clearly walks safer, speaks wiser, and lives freer. That is not just survival, that is sacred living. In a world addicted to noise, to rush, to reaction, stillness becomes a rebellion. In a culture that confuses volume with value and speed with certainty, stillness is where the soul whispers while the world screams. And if you listen closely, you will find that truth, real truth, the kind that cannot be dressed up or sold, is always waiting in that silence. Truth does not compete for attention. It does not demand to be heard. It simply waits, patient and whole, inside stillness. Stillness is not the absence of motion. It is the presence of awareness. It is the moment when your heart is no longer racing ahead of your spirit. It is the breath that comes before the answer. It is where you meet yourself without distraction. It is where lies lose their power and clarity rises like sunlight through fog. Truth does not shout. It does not tremble. It does not come coated in fear or disguised in flattery. Truth walks quietly. It moves like water, gentle but capable of cutting stone. It does not need to explain itself. It does not beg to be believed. It simply is. And when you are still enough, you will recognize it. Not in your mind first, but in your body, in your chest, in the way your soul exhales when something finally aligns. Stillness is where you realize what no one else can tell you. It is where you separate your thoughts from your truth. It is where you begin to understand what belongs to you and what was handed to you by someone else's fear. In stillness, you are not performing, you are not persuading, you are not protecting anyone's feelings but your own. You are simply listening to your spirit, to your breath, to what is quietly right. There is a reason liars love chaos. There is a reason manipulators keep you spinning. The faster you move, the harder it is to see. The louder the world becomes, the more likely you are to miss the quiet voice inside that says, this isn't love, or this isn't safe, or this isn't true. But when you stop, when you become still, their illusion crumbles. The noise fades. The truth steps forward, not needing drama, not requiring proof, just present, waiting for you to come home to it. Stillness is not passive. It is active surrender. It is choosing to stop chasing and start noticing. It is how the soul protects itself from confusion. It is where wisdom gathers. In stillness, your decisions come from peace, not pressure. Your words come from depth, not defense. Your boundaries come from clarity, not bitterness. This is the power of stillness. It roots you in yourself. When everything around you is rushing, when others are reacting, when fear is loud and temptation is sweet, stillness is how you return to what is real. You do not have to fix everything. You do not have to prove anything. You do not have to respond to every call for your attention. You have the right to pause, to breathe, to go inward and find the truth beneath the noise. Because truth does not live in urgency. It lives in presence. It lives in the quiet knowing. It lives in that moment when you close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and say, I already know. And you do. You always have. Let others run toward the noise. Let them seek answers in the chaos. You choose stillness. In that stillness, you will meet the only voice that matters, your own. And in that voice, untouched by fear, unshaken by lies, you will hear the truth standing tall, calm, and waiting to be honored.